Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be building a toolkit, but not the kind for fixing a leaky type or putting together furniture. Nope, we're building a leadership toolkit because leadership, just like any other craft, is absolutely a skill, something you can sharpen, practice, and really perfect over time.
So let's dive right into that classic, age-old question that's really at the heart of all this. Are great leaders just born with some kind of special, innate quality, or are they actually forged in the fire of experience? We're going to unpack this by looking at everything from the foundational theories to the daily habits and even the big-picture frameworks of truly exceptional leadership.
Okay, so first things first. Before we can start adding any tools to our kit, we have got to understand the foundation it's all built on. That means we need to explore those fundamental theories that have tried to answer our big opening question.
Now, if you look back, this debate was pretty split down the middle. On one side, you had the born camp. Early great men theories basically said leaders were these heroic figures almost destined to lead. And yeah, these theories might feel a little outdated, but you can totally see their echoes in how we talk about charismatic CEOs today. Then came trait theories, which tried to nail down specific inherited qualities, like courage or intelligence. But then the made camp fired back. Behavioral theories completely flipped the script, saying, hey, leadership is just a set of actions that anyone can learn. And then situational theories added this really important layer, suggesting the best leaders are kind of like chameleons. They adapt their style to whatever situation they're in.
So where do we stand on this today? Well, the truth is, it's not a simple either-or answer. Real leadership is this dynamic mix of all three. Your natural qualities for sure, but also the skills you work hard to develop and your ability to read the room and adapt to the challenge right in front of you. All right, with that foundation solidly in place, let's start adding some really practical, everyday tools to our kit. These are the core behaviors that transformational leaders, the ones who truly inspire and motivate their teams to do amazing things, use every single day.
First up, passion. Think about it. You wouldn't follow someone who didn't seem to care about where you were all going, right? Great leaders have this genuine, infectious enthusiasm. They don't just care about hitting the targets, they are deeply invested in helping every single person on their team grow and succeed.
Next tool, communication. And this is way more than just talking. It's about forging a real connection. The best leaders focus on dedicated one-on-one communication. By keeping those lines wide open, they make sure every team member feels valued, feels heard, and gets recognized for what they bring to the table.
And that brings us to another critical tool, encouraging creativity. Some people call it intellectual stimulation. See, effective leaders don't just hand out tasks. They present new challenges that stretch their team's abilities. They push them just enough to grow, but not so far that they burn out. It's all about helping people discover their own limits and then push past them.
Okay, let's move on to our next section, because the next tool we're adding might actually surprise you. It's one of the most powerful and honestly, one of the most overlooked skills in any leader's entire toolkit, the ability to be a fantastic follower.
This quote just nails it perfectly, doesn't it? Before you can really lead from the front, you have to understand what it means to support, to listen, and to contribute from right there inside the team.
To really see this in action, let's talk about Leo, a young, super ambitious engineer, and his manager, Mira, who's a seasoned project leader. Now, Mira isn't just a great leader. She's also an incredible follower, someone who instinctively knows when to step up and when to empower someone else.
So one day, a huge crisis hits their project. And what Mira does next is so telling. She doesn't bark orders. Instead, she turns to her team, she listens, really listens, to Leo's bold, kind of risky idea, and she trusts him enough to give it a shot.
And guess what? The project was a massive success. The lessons here for Leo, and for all of us, are huge. Great followership teaches you to listen to understand, not just to reply. It teaches you to be adaptable, to build trust, to empower others, and to take responsibility. Mira empowered Leo, and in doing so, she created a whole new cycle of leadership.
So far, we've got our foundation and our daily tools. Now it's time for the final part of our kit, the advanced frameworks. These are like the blueprints leaders use to guide their teams through one of the absolute hardest things any group can face, change.
A classic and incredibly helpful model comes from Kurt Lewin. Think of it like a block of ice. First, you have to unfreeze it. You have to create awareness and show everyone why the old way of doing things just isn't working anymore. Then comes the changing phase.
This is where you actually implement the new ways of working, and you offer tons of support while people learn. And finally, and this is so crucial, you refreeze. You have to lock in that new way of doing things so it becomes the new normal, which stops the team from just sliding back into their old habits.
Lewin's model is fantastic because it's so simple and clear. But what if you're navigating a much bigger, more complicated transformation? Well, for that, you're probably going to need a more detailed map.
And that's where John Kotter's famous 8-step model comes in. The first 4 steps are all about building unstoppable momentum. You kick things off by creating a real sense of urgency, because let's be honest, without it, nobody's going to be motivated to change. Then, you form a powerful coalition of influential people to champion the cause. You can't do it alone. Next, you create a simple, clear vision for the future that gets people excited. And then you communicate that vision over and over and over again so everyone knows exactly where you're all headed.
The next 4 steps, they're all about action and making it stick. Step 5 is to remove any obstacles in your way, whether that's an old process or even a resistant person. Step 6 is my personal favorite. Create quick, visible wins. This keeps morale sky high because nothing motivates people like success. Then, in Step 7, you use the credibility you've earned from those wins to build on the change and tackle even bigger goals. And finally, Step 8, you anchor these new approaches deep into the company culture so it just becomes the way we do things around here. So, let's bring this all together. We've just built a really powerful leadership toolkit. We started with that foundational idea that leaders are a mix of nature and nurture. We added the essential daily tools of passion, communication, and creativity, and we wrapped up with some advanced frameworks for guiding people through the tough stuff, through change.
You have the tools now. The only thing left to do is to start using them. Remember, leadership isn't some title you're given. It's a choice you make, day in and day out. The entire journey just begins with one single step. So the only question I have for you is this: what one change are you going to make today?